Happy Wednesday evening. If you guys know me and are following me, maybe know me well, have been to my house, you'll notice something behind me. So I've been in my house almost a year, and we just now got curtains. I just did not care. But in the bedroom specifically, it was important to me because I'm sick of wearing a robe all the time. But also, we are exploring more ways to have more streams of income. And one of those things is going ahead and putting our house on Airbnb when we are out of town because it keeps happening. So if you guys need an Airbnb, Chattanooga, North Georgia, ours will be available on occasion. We have curtains, we have new beds, and it'll be great. I'm a little bit insane, but it'll work. So what we're talking about today, though, is something I may have touched on before. I don't remember, but even if I have, it's been a while. And that is, what the heck is a buyer's representation agreement? Maybe called something different depending on what state you're in, buyer broker agreement, something similar, all the same, right? I'm hoping you can't hear what I'm hearing. My toddler is in a very screamy babble stage right now, hence the hiding in here. But I'm always also perpetually tired, as the newborn keeps waking up in the middle of the night. But buyer representation agreements. So biggest thing I want you guys to remember is don't sign anything if you feel pressured, and know what you're signing. I've had a number of situations where this has come up this week, and not just this week, but throughout my career, especially when you get to be a broker and you're not just dealing with yourself and your own clients, but you have agents who work under you as well. It can get really fun because ultimately I, as the broker, own that contract. And I don't always know what's going on with it. I mean, obviously we get the high points, but I don't know every word of every conversation that has happened. And so it's hard to make a call, and that really boils down to what's in writing, right? And this is where you guys, as customers, consumers, hopefully eventually clients, can get a good take from what these forms are. Most of the time when you submit an offer, along with it is this representation agreement if you haven't signed one previously. If you're putting in offers without one, honestly, I probably wouldn't work with that agent, just because that agreement is them stating they can represent you and negotiate on your behalf. And technically, legally, they aren't allowed to do any of that if you haven't signed off on it. So if they're not covering themselves legally, I wouldn't really trust them to cover you legally. So keep that in mind. But the flip side of that is making sure that while they're covering themselves legally, it's not to the point where they're putting themselves above you, because it's also in the agreement that they are out for your best interest. It's called a fiduciary responsibility. And that just means, if there's some way that I'm going to make more money, but it's not going to help my client, I can't do it. If it's in my client's best interest, even if I don't make as much money, I have to do it. Now this comes into play really most of the time on the buyer's side. Because if we're working for a percentage of the sales price, then it seems counterintuitive that we would want the sales price to be lower, right? Because I make more money if it sells for more money. But that's where this comes into play. My fiduciary responsibility is to my client. If I am representing the buyer, I want that price as low as possible, because that is literally my job, is to help them get it as low as possible, but still making sure that they get in it. Everything is safe. Everything is how it should be, what they wanted, right? So make sure you're watching out for that. Now, your agent should know the market. If they're explaining the market to you and giving you valid reasons as to why you might want to bump your price up, please listen to them. It's usually not greed, but actually helping you get into the home versus just not having it. So that's important. Other things, make sure you know what you're signing. For me, I always outline it as kind of like dating. I give everyone at least one. We'll go look at a house. We'll do a buyer's consultation. We'll make sure that we're comfortable with each other. I might show you a few houses before I ask for this document. But it's going to be pretty quick. And the reason for that is because I legally cannot give you the same advice or counsel without that paper signed as I can with it. And I own a brokerage. I have 4 kids. I am not trying to get sued. So I'm covering myself, but and then I'm also covering you, because that is putting on paper that you come first. You come before me. You come before anyone else I'm working with that hasn't signed that paper yet. And I have had situations where more than one person wants to offer on a house, the same house. And I have both of them. So the way that works is obviously the person who signed with me, I legally owe my duty to them. So they come first. And now I can't have 2 clients that are both doing the same house, and that's okay. And it's just how much information I share might be a little limited, but I make sure you know that up front. And if either party is not comfortable with that, I will refer you to another agent in my brokerage. But if it's signed, then I'm tied to you. It's like we're married. You can't cheat on me, and I can't cheat on you either. And that's how you get the best service. Now, there are people who try to get out of them, and that's exactly why they exist as far as the agent is concerned. There are agents who get really lazy, and that's why they exist for the client side of it. So it really is designed to help all parties. But I've also seen it abused. I've seen it where someone acts like you have to sign it, or you can't get into a showing, or maybe they don't explain it really well. And it's just like, oh, this is the next step of the process. Make sure you know what you're signing. But I've also seen it where it's all up front and then something happens and someone's trying to get out of it. And I really, really believe in being a good boss and supporting my agents. So if they haven't done anything wrong and someone comes to me and asks to be released from a buyer's rep, honestly, it's not going to happen because the agents put in work. I know that they're all trained under me to explain it. And if I don't have any sort of story indicating that they really didn't know what was going on, or a valid reason why my agent doesn't deserve to be paid for their work, then it's sticking. It's a contract. And I would hope that other brokerages respond the same. So that's just more reason to make sure you know what you're getting into. With that, also, I like, yo, really, it is. I don't even know. Someone tell me what time it is. I'm lost, but it is past my bedtime. It is. And I'm telling y'all, this weather has really thrown me off. But the other thing too, not just in the forms you sign, but in every communication, please make sure you know what's going on. I have people I'm working with right now who I love because every other text, it seems, they say, okay, I don't really know how this works. I love that because that tells me you don't fully understand what I'm saying and I need to explain it further and make sure we're on the same page. If I just get a yes and an okay, and then 2 months down the line, people are confused, that's going to be a lot harder to fix because I don't know where you fell off the map. I always make a point to ask, are you understanding? Does that make sense to you? Is there any part of this that's really foreign? Because we work with the same jargon all day, every day. We tend to go through things really quickly because we are used to the process, but it is really weird when you're not in this world all the time. So it's completely fine to say, I have no idea what you're talking about, Kelly. Slow down. Can we go over this again? 100%. Yes, I'll go over it again. We'll break it down, different words, whatever you need to make sure you know where we are. Is the best thing you can do as a client is to ask for when you need further explanation, and not to move too quickly. You want to make sure you're not missing out, but you also want to make sure you're not jumping into something that you can't jump out of. The biggest thing with that is actually once you find a house, because hey, so I don't know what you guys saw, but my internet glitched. Maybe should start recording this. I don't know what the heck is going on. I guess maybe the weather. I'm going to blame it on the weather. I don't know. AT&T. If anyone here works for AT&T and anything's going on with the internet, let me know because it is affecting me and I don't like it. But also we know you guys work super hard to keep utilities going. So no hard feelings. But yeah, so just make sure you know what you're signing. Make sure you're asking and understand that it is protecting your agent's pay. You literally cost them money until you close. You do. You cost time, you cost money. This is a very expensive career. So when someone asks you to commit to them, it's not because they don't trust you. It's not because they're greedy. It's literally because they need to ensure that they're getting paid. You wouldn't want to work for free either. But again, on the flip side of that is they're also protecting you and making sure that they're tied to you the same way, because otherwise someone else might come along and they got to go with them no matter how much they like you. So just keep all that in mind. If you guys have questions, please reach out. If you want to know crazy agent stories, crazy broker stories, I have tons of them. I always, I don't talk about things that are actively going on. I also don't explain any scenarios where people know who I'm talking about. But there are a ton of stories and lawsuits and all kinds of crazy things around buyer's representation agreements. So please be aware. Also realize when you walk into a builder, now it depends on the builder, but most of the time when you go see a builder, the agents there are the builder. They're not there. And if you go in without an agent by yourself the very first time, guess what? You sometimes can't be represented. So don't do that. Reach out to an agent you know, like, and trust before you go look at new builds. Also understand similar things happen with Zillow. When you call Zillow, 9 times out of 10, you're not getting the listing agent. You're getting someone who has paid for their phone to ring when you call in. That's it. They, have to meet certain requirements to keep good standing with Zillow, but they are literally paying for that phone call. So if you have an agent, don't call Zillow. It's really rude to the person who's paying for that. But also, if you're looking for the listing agent, don't click contact. That's not how that works. And also know that agent is going to do whatever they can to try to keep you, because Zillow tracks them and they charge them. And if they don't close so many, then their ratings go down. So please know how all of this works. If you guys have any questions on real estate, on business, the good, bad, the ugly, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. And yeah, if you need anything, I'm always here. Have a great Wednesday. I think I've been talking at you for about 20 minutes now. So I'm going to go finally eat and then regroup and hopefully have some better content coming your way as well. I love the lives because I really can just talk to you guys. You see how I am in person, and when my brain's just kind of do. But I also want things a little more organized. I want to talk about items that are important to you. So if you have topics, be it this live that I have in the works, I want to touch on things that are important to you. I'm also considering podcasts. I'm working on the back end, but let me know things you want to see. I've thought about, I know this is a sidebar now, but I've thought about like agent horror stories, because we have some crazy stories y'all might not even know. It gets crazy out here. People are insane. Or, tips for buyers. I've also wanted to do ones for agents because I train them. And I think that would just be a really good one outlet for me, just so I stay on top of things and make sure that even if my agents are out and about and don't have time, or it's a topic that doesn't interest them, but if it's something I've learned, I have an audience for that, then I can record them for my agents, so I'm not taking up their time constantly. But training is really, really important to me. And then, it's hard for me because I'm in my little bubble of things that I know, and I try to always keep the perspective of what it looks like from the outside. But if you guys don't tell me, sometimes I'm just like babbling, and I know what I'm talking about and you might not. So I hope that this one specifically has been something where you kind of get in my head and in the processes a little bit more. But please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out. No question is or too stupid, or if you're not in a state, I can still help. Maybe. And if not, I'll get you with someone who can. So you're never bothering me or wasting my time. I really, I live for this, to the point where sometimes it's annoying to my family, but they're entirely on board as well. And we're all here for you. If you hear a toddler, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I've been rambling for really 20 minutes. And whatever the technical glitch looked like on your end, if it's just me staring with my mouth open, I'm blank screen. But love you. Talk to you next week. Tell me what you want.